the Packers and their wide receivers. I'll let you have at it. This is one of the stories of the off-season training camp, whatever you want to describe this period of the season. What do you reckon of Matt LaFleur, Aaron Rodgers, and those Green Bay wide receivers?
I kind of love that Romeo Dobbs is a superstar 10 days into training camp. I kind of love it. And it just sums up training camp and everything the NFL can be. And I remember getting excited about Roger Lewis at the Giants, and he kind of got cut after a year. And it has, I'm not saying I'm not comparing Romeo Dobbs to Roger Lewis at all, but uh, he's been kind of going up against Eric Stokes and J.R. Alexander, and which I've seen a lot of iron sharpens iron and those kind of cliches thrown around, and he looks a good player. I kind of look more to Alan Lazard as maybe a key in this offense now. I remember a couple of years ago when he came into the league undrafted, and Matt LaFleur wanted to switch into tight end. I think there was a lot of talk about him switching to tight end, and you can kind of see it. He's a really good blocker. He's an excellent seal blocker and kind of that wide zone scheme. And as Equanimeous St. Brown was as well, and he kind of made his money in Green Bay for that role. In terms of Lazard, I think a good contested catch guy. He's not a flyer in any stretch of the imagination. He's not your kind of fluid Devontae Adams will be a guy person option for Aaron Rodgers, but Rodgers loves him, and he's a good route runner. He's a reliable catcher, I guess he's proven in the past, but I kind of see it in a similar way to you're looking at Darnell Mooney in Chicago, and he's just only got this pressure to step up as a number one when he had a kind of a less than like a 30% target share last year. And it's a similar case of Alan Lazard this year, where it's such a big ask, but the difference is that you've got an Aaron Rodgers to kind of help you out a little bit. So he is one we probably won't find out too much about until maybe 3 or 4 weeks into the season, when we work out who Rodgers' guy is and how this kind of offense is going to look. Because I expect Aaron Jones is not a security blanket, but you know what you're getting with Aaron Jones, and kind of that pass catching back that will get you out of a sticky situation. And yeah, just for all the years that Aaron Rodgers has moaned about not having receivers, he now has hundreds of them to kind of pick from. And
yeah, but are any of them good? This is the concern.
This is the question.
You can line up as many as you want. If they all stink, it's not so big a deal. I think Randall Cobb is. I am deeply concerned by the Alan Lazard discourse. Have people watch Alan Lazard play football? This is not good, people. He cannot be your true number one in every sense. They've got all these guys who are straight line flyers, and that's a little concerning. Where is the in-out guy? And I don't mean Randall Cobb. I mean the second level, sliding in behind the linebacker, where Rodgers loves to punish people. That is where he makes all of his money, is they do so much bullshit outside the numbers to get you chasing outside the numbers. And when they want a payoff play, they just cut you down the middle of the field. They throw in the middle of the field far less than everyone else, right? It's like way below league average. They throw below the middle of the field. And yet they have by far the highest value when they do throw in the middle of the field, because they know exactly when to set up the payoff plays, and they know exactly which coverages to puncture, because they have the really special fellow wearing number 12, and then they did have the best wide receiver in the league. And everyone was so shit scared of him when they would line him up 3-by-1 on the backside, and they would back off, and they would throw in the ball and pop it out to him, and he would run it like a punt return. That everyone was rolling coverage, and they would kill them in behind, right over the middle of the field, as you send your guy, and you've got to have the other guy track basically 3-over-3 to the side of the field. Someone has a chance to go and sit in the middle hole, right? That was the whole offense. To take that, the guy on the one side is really essential to that construct. You have to be panicked about him. I am not panicked about Sammy Watkins. I am not panicked about Randall Cobb or Alan Lazard. I think Romeo Doubs can be really, really good. I was surprised he went in the 4th round. He's another long strider, get the ball downfield, contested catch guy. Where are the guys who just get open? That's the big thing with them. And that is not, I think, contrary to popular belief. And people can have different interpretations. A couple of things I think go unnoticed about the Packers and the Matt LaFleur years. One, they are heavy a lot. They run 30% of the time. They have 2 tight ends on the field, right? So they're not going to have all those wide receiver bodies on the field the entire time. All those guys we're listing makes it out like they're going to be in a spread offense. That's not really what they run anymore. They run from the gun with heavy personnel. It's kind of a smash mouth spread, not dissimilar to what the Eagles are running, really. It's got all the motions and shifts and all that stuff that Philadelphia does as well. And then they spray the ball around and they take deep shots. But it will be a run-based offense with heavy personnel, and then you have to hit some people on isolated plays because that's what Aaron Rodgers likes to do. There will be some crisscross, some play design, man beater stuff, but for the most part, you're going to have one of these guys consistently get open on the perimeter, 1-on-1 or with 2-over-1. And I'm looking through the list, and I think Christian Watkins can be really good, and I'm not sure.
Yeah, I was going to mention Christian Watson. I mean, I think a lot of people just made their minds up on him coming out of college and thought, oh, he's a guy that is going to do your kind of crosses and your kind of yards after catch maestro. And I think a lot of his plays we kind of saw at North Dakota State were just like you say, a flyer, run downhill, will get you on the perimeter. You're quicker than everyone else. You're quicker than these college secondaries that are never going to make it to the NFL. And it's just a different ball game. And I do expect we'll see a bit more of him kind of occupying the middle of the field, but he's so inexperienced in a complex scheme that does so much to create explosive plays. And I just don't see a kind of fluid, kind of catch me if you can route runner that is going to really bamboozle too many defenses. He's quick, and you put a ball in his hands, and I'm sure, yeah, he'll make some stuff happen. But to get to that stage with him, and kind of going back to what you said as well, you talk about guys that dominate defensive team meetings during the week, and you turn on kind of the PowerPoint or whatever they want to do, and you're scrolling through pictures of these guys, and you're almost laughing that, oh, we don't have to make all those kind of schemes we did to stop Devontae Adams last year. I remember the Ravens talking about it, that they had specific meetings to kind of find a way to stop this guy. It still didn't work, by the way.
Yeah.
That's never going to happen. I mean,
no, when you face a dominant wide receiver, even if you're in too deep, you have to run really complex cone coverages, essentially, which means you are morphing on the fly to figure out where the bleep is that guy, and we got to roll 2 over him. So you have to deploy 3 guys with eyes on him, and if he goes one way, it becomes a double team high-low, and if he goes one way, it's an in-out double team. That's the meeting, and it takes a lot of communication, a lot of work, and if you've got guys coming in and out with injuries, or you sign someone off the street, it's very, very difficult. It's even more difficult to carry out on the field the day of the game where you don't know where he's going. When you play these guys, you line up, it's 2 read, and we're all very happy with ourselves, and we'll just hit our spots, and we'll pick up whoever is where. The one thing with Watson, you mentioned a good point where he is another north-south guy. They do love to flip the position types, right? They play the big guys inside regularly, and they put the little guys outside, and that is an interesting thing because they get really vertical from the slot. So I can see him having, 3 50-yard plays in the season because he gets vertical from the slot and someone misreads it and Rodgers hits him in stride and we're all amazed. I mean, he's a freakazoid, but he also played like no snaps in college and he ran like 3 routes in college. And as you said, he was bigger, faster, stronger than the guys who are, stocking Walmart right now. And so he looked unbelievable in the limited snaps he plays. They have a massive problem with the Adams thing where, one, the whole offense orbited around how special he was. And 2, he played 43% of their snaps in the slot. Like, how are you replacing that production? And when you have a team converging on the slot receiver, it makes what are supposed to be the difficult throws, throwing outside the numbers, really easy when the guy's as special as the guy they have at quarterback. They cannot replicate that anymore. They are going to have the boundary completely cut off, and they are going to have to throw in the middle of the field more and more and more, which is not what they want to do. When they throw to the spot of the field that's supposed to be easier, they want it to be a payoff. They want it to be that we've moved the ball in chunk yardage, or we've scored, or we've at least got a first down in a high leverage situation. They don't want to be a going to that well, down in, down out, because it's too hard to get the ball to the perimeter. So Matt LaFleur is, as smart as it gets, as good as it gets. Rodgers is as good as it gets, but I have real concerns about the knock-on impact of having bad players at those positions, coupled with, we haven't touched on this, that offensive line is starting to become real concerning. I don't know if you've looked through the depth chart, 3 spots are terrifying, and we have no idea what the deal is with David Bakhtiari. At least I haven't seen any latest reports as we're taping this on Wednesday about when he's going to play, when he's going to practice, what the deal is with his injury, with his status. If Bakhtiari isn't playing and we're running Runyon, Myers, and Newman inside, and he doesn't have the luxury of just throwing the ball to Devontae Adams and knowing the guy's going to have the ball, suddenly the whole jigsaw starts to look a little bit iffy.
Yeah, especially when you factor in kind of Robert Tonyan and is he kind of going to be full health? And he's such a big part in that offense now. And if you miss him, who you're looking at, is it Mercedes Lewis next on the depth chart? And you're kind of in trouble there. And I think the person that's reflected best out of this is like you say, Devontae Adams, where you start to appreciate the kind of nuances that make him that bit special, where it's just the release patterns. I just watch the release patterns kind of over and over again, and no one else on that team can replicate that in any way, shape, or form. And yeah, I'm kind of here for the Packers struggles a little bit.
And it is funny. It is high comedy that he spent 3 years bitching and moaning, and then signed the ridiculous contract, which he fully earned. I get that, but signed a contract that meant he can now get no help. it's like, it's, unless they go and get Odell or they bring in some other veteran, I don't know. Those pieces are mostly off the board by now. So it's concerning. I guess we'll see. This is a great example of like that final Brady year in New England where the pieces were just terrible. It will be a great example of how far can a special quarterback drag a bunch of potential and average players.
Yeah, I wonder if he goes and gets Jake Kumro from the Bills. He might be a surplus.